Okay, today we're going to learn how to compute conversions or calculate conversions. Conversions are something that we are using every day in the real world. So I've always been very upfront and real with you that everything you learned in my math class is not going to be used every day in your real life. Okay, but conversions definitely is something that you will use moving forward. So it's a very important skill that we need to learn. Some real world situations where we may see conversions, cooking a recipe. So you may have a recipe that needs 2 cups of butter. Okay, but butter comes in sticks for the most part, unless you buy like the tub of butter, obviously. But if you're buying butter to like bake, it's usually you're going to buy the sticks of butter, and those don't tell you how many cups they are. They tell you how many ounces. Okay, so you might have to convert your cups to ounces when you're baking. Budgeting for a trip with different currencies. For example, in Europe, they don't use US dollars, they use euros. And the conversion is not equal. Like $1 is not equal to €1. So if you're buying something that's 15 euros, you might want to do that conversion to figure out how much money is this actually costing me in dollars. Tracking fitness goals, so like kilograms and pounds. For example, some fitness equipment is only labeled in kilograms. And in the US, we mainly use pounds. For example, like kettlebells, those like metal balls you may have seen before that have like the little handle on them, those are usually labeled in kilograms. Okay. But in the US, like I said, we would want to know, is it 15 pounds, 20 pounds, 30 pounds? We can also compare prices while shopping. So if you want to know the dollars for each ounce, sometimes it's only labeled as how much it costs per pound. But let's say you're only doing a half a pound. That's only 8 ounces. Okay, so we need to know how much does it cost per pound. Or if you only buy 1 ounce, what is that cost going to be? So conversions is definitely something that you will use in the real world. So let's go through and fill out our note page. To convert from one unit of measure to another, we use equivalent ratios. We use conversion facts as our starting ratio. A conversion fact is always going to be given to you. For example, 1 mile is 1.61 kilometers, or 1 inch is 1.54 centimeters. We are not going to ever ask you to memorize these. Every single problem that we give you to solve, we will tell you a conversion fact and then give you one more number, and you'd be trying to find the missing number. Okay, so we're going to fill out our steps as we are doing example number 1. So we are going to create a table and write the labels in each row or column. I'm going to make it going across just because I didn't have much room here for the note page. So here's my table. I want to convert quarts to gallons. So I've got quarts with a Q and gallons with a G. I want to convert 36 quarts to however many gallons that is. So my answer is going to be in gallons because I don't know how many gallons that is. I start by writing out the given conversion fact as the first ratio. So that conversion fact, 1 gallon is 4 quarts, is going to be my first ratio. 1 gallon. So I'm looking for where my gallons are, and I'm putting a 1, is 4 quarts. I'm looking for my quarts and putting a 4. I know that there's 36 quarts, so I'm finding my quarts, putting 36. I want to know how many gallons that is. So then we write the given information. That was the 36 quarts that we need to get our answer. Last but not least, we multiply or divide to find an equivalent ratio. So we say 4 times what is 36. So we could use a multiplication chart with this. We could use mental math. We could use guess and check. We could use division. We could take 36 divided by 4 to see what number we're multiplying by, but it's going to end up being 9. Do the same thing on the bottom. 1 times 9 is 9. Our number of gallons is our answer, so we want to circle that 9. Okay, and that is how we convert measures. So we want to convert 20 centimeters to inches. So we've got centimeters, we've got inches. Our conversion fact is always our first ratio. So 1 inch is 2.54 centimeters. We want to know how many 20 centimeters is. Now, we don't know 2.54 times what is 20. Even I don't know that off the top of my head, okay? Because it's probably going to be some crazy decimal. So we want to use those fact families. Like think if we're trying to go from 3 to 15 and I didn't know 3 times what is 15. Now using mental math, I do know that that's 5. But if I didn't know that, I'm thinking like, what could I do with a 15 and a 3 in order to get that 5? Well, using a fact family, if I know 3 times 5 is 15, 15 divided by 3 tells me what that number that's missing is. So same thing here. If I don't know 2.54 times what is 20, I can take 20 divided by 2.54 in my calculator to see what number we are multiplying by. So let's go ahead and do that. 20 divided by 2.54 equals, and we're just going to keep 2 decimals because like I said, it's a crazy long number, 7.87. So just keep 2 numbers after the decimal. Then we do the same thing on the bottom, 1 times 7.87, and we get 7.87. The number of inches is our answer, so we would circle that. So that's how we would use a ratio table. Another skill that we've learned is fractions as well as double number lines. I've seen a lot of students in class using fractions, so I'm going to do an example like that. I haven't seen many students use double number lines, so I'm not going to show an example like that because if students aren't using that method, there's no need to go through an example of that. So if we're using fractions, we would draw our fraction bar equal to our fraction bar. The human heart pumps 5 quarts of blood per minute. We want to know how many liters is that. So we're trying to make 5 quarts into liters. So we start with our conversion fact. 1 quart is QT, is 0.95 liters. Okay, we always start with our conversion fact in that first fraction. Then we need to make sure our labels match. So if I put quarts on the top over there, I have to put quarts on the top over here. If I put liters on the bottom in my first fraction, I have to put liters on the bottom. We fill in our information that we're given, 5 quarts. And we say, how do we go from 1 quart to 5 quarts? Well, that's times 5. So we do the same thing with 0.95. We would do times 5, 0.95 times 5, and that's going to be 4.75. We can kind of use like mental math or just like reasoning to make sure that our answer is correct. For example, 1 and 0.95 are very close, but our 0.95 liters is just a little bit less than quarts. So when we've got 5 quarts, our answer should be just a little bit less than 5 quarts, which is 4.75. That makes sense. If we would have ended up with an answer that was 20 liters, that wouldn't have made sense because you can't have 1 quart is less liters, but then 5 quarts is more liters. That doesn't really make sense. So you can kind of guess and check and, well, not guess and check, but just check your answer by using like that mental reasoning. All right, 2 more. You go sailing with your friend and travel 8 kilometers. How many miles do you and your friend travel? You can set up a ratio table. You can set up fractions. Since I did 2 ratio tables on the front, I'm going to do 2 fractions on the back. But if you did a table, that's totally fine. We've got miles and kilometers. Does not matter if you would put kilometers on top and I put miles on top. As long as they match in both fractions, it does not matter. Start with our fact. 1 mile is 1.6 kilometers. We are traveling 8 kilometers, and we're converting that to miles. 8 kilometers. Here's one of those where I don't know 1.6 times what is 8. Okay, that's not a mental math fact for me. So I'm going to use those fact families and do 8 divided by 1.6 in my calculator because that's going to tell me what that missing number is. Ooh, that worked out nicely. It's a 5. Then I do the same thing on top. I'm doing times 5. 1 times 5 is 5, so 5 miles. We know we're multiplying in both of these situations because the number is getting larger, right? Same thing here. The number is getting larger, so we're multiplying. If it would be less, like if I was trying to get 1 kilometer, I would be dividing because going from 1.6 to 1 is getting smaller, if that makes sense. So that's how you would know if you're multiplying or dividing. All All right, last one. I want you to pause the video, try this one on your own. Resume the video when you are ready to check. You measure a side of the table that's 67 centimeters. We want to convert that into inches. 1 inch is 2.54 centimeters. I'm going to do a table. Inches, centimeters. 1 inch is 2.54 centimeters. We want to get to 67 centimeters. This is not a fact that I know off the top of my head. The number is getting larger, so I'm multiplying. In my calculator, I'm going to take 67 divided by 2.54 to see what we are multiplying by. 67 divided by 2.54. And we're just going to keep 2 decimal places, so 26.37. I'm going to do the same thing on the top. I'm multiplying it by 1, so the answer is just going to be 26.37. Circle that because the number of inches is our answer. And that's how we calculate conversions. It's very similar to the ratios and rates that we have been doing.